Ready to take the next step? No matter your financial need, Goppert Financial Bank is your local lending solution. From refinancing or purchasing your new home, to growing your small business, to taking your farming operation to the next level, we will take that next step with you. Stop by or visit us online at goppertfb.com to learn more.
This is Connie Whitlock, and I'm with Jay Walters. And you have a bunch of titles, don't you? I know you're like the lake person, and then you're the.
I'm all over the
Give
place.
me your titles. Give me your titles.
Well, I'm caretaker of the city lake here in Pleasant Hill.
Yeah.
And I also do codes enforcement for Pleasant Hill.
Codes enforcement. Don't look too closely. Yeah. No. Actually, I didn't realize you did codes enforcement.
Yeah.
So this is. Then who is Cold Snow?
Jim Cold Snow does buildings.
So he does buildings.
Structural.
So you're the one that says you should not wash your car on your grass.
I'm the
type
one
of thing.
Comes to you and says that 52 Chevy pickup truck in your backyard that you've been telling yourself for 25 years you're going to restore is not going to get done, and you need to get it out of here.
Have you've had that?
Oh
quite a
yeah.
bit?
Oh yeah.
What's the worst one you've had?
Well, a lot of property code violations. I've got a couple of cases here in Pleasant Hill that are just absolute junkyards.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the owners are the kind of people that just bring everything home. They can't, if they see something on the side of the road or something, they just, I can't leave that, and then it accumulates, and pretty soon it's overwhelming.
Well, I mean, some people have that personality, right? And
Oh,
then,
yeah.
And then time, I'm going to do this, or I'm
Right.
going. I had this neighbor when I was growing up that. I was with my parents, and I was married to Bob, right? And Bob was roofing at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so they came over to Bob because, do you think you could roof our house? And he's like, sure. And so he goes, are you having problems with leaking? He goes, yeah, it's leaking in our living room. So we walk in this living room, and there's this big hole in the ceiling, like this big, right? And a huge spot on the floor, like round carpet, that's just eating away at the carpet. And Bob is like, how long has it been leaking? Oh, a few years.
It's amazing.
It just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
It's amazing what people will put up with.
Yeah.
I retired from Kansas City, Missouri Health Department. I was a public health officer for 25 years.
Seriously?
So a lot of times I did work very similar to codes, except they were all health related.
So you kind of understand what's going on in the health department. Tell us a little bit.
Well,
what's your angle? I mean, or what do you you understand what's going on in the health department with COVID and everything? Yeah. So you must have a lot of compassion for what they're going through.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A tough job.
Definitely, especially when you have so much resistance to the vaccination.
Oh, really?
It's tough to sell it. It really is. My job back then, it was mainly like unsanitary conditions and things like this. The hole in the roof story is what made me think of it. I saw some horrendous things. People would live in a house that they rented. They'd stop paying rent. Well, the landlord lives out in California. He doesn't care one way or the other. So they just stay there.
Yeah.
And then the plumbing gets clogged up. So instead of calling a plumber, they just go down in the basement with a hacksaw, cut the pipe off, and hope everything goes down to the floor drain. Well, sooner or later, a piece of paper is going to go over that floor drain. It's going to stop it up, and the basement just fills up. And I've seen houses with 3.5 feet of solid sewage in the basement. You could smell it from the street. It was
seriously.
Oh yeah,
Wow.
the things that people will allow themselves to live in it's unbelievable.
That's totally unbelievable.
Oh, yeah.
Totally. And then you see the pristine. Now, when I was growing up too, that my dad could just not win with the neighbors, and they would call and call site, and it was one little thing in the fence, like what do you call those spigot things, whatever, plank in the fence, if it was warped. Oh no, they called the city, and then we get not cited, but they would give a warning, and then he'd have to go buy, the wood and make a new place, I guess.
I did a lot.
I don't know. I can't
because of
speak
people
today for some
seeking
reason.
revenge back then. I don't run into that much here in Pleasant Hill.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, I don't.
This was Overland Park.
I mean, there's people that
or Olathe.
that will complain on their neighbors because they're mad at them, but they're valid complaints.
Okay. But pretty reasonable in Pleasant Hill.
Oh, yeah.
That's really good to hear.
When I go out and do an inspection, I mean, I make a lot of people angry. Hey, if somebody told me I had to get rid of my 52 Chevy pickup truck, I wouldn't like it either.
Or go store it. Anyway.
But invariably, the vast majority of those people, once they get everything done, they'll talk to me and they'll go, yeah, I should have done it a long time ago. All I needed was a kick in the seat of the pants.
Seat of the pants, yeah.
I mean, I've made a few enemies, but not really very many. I would give advice to anybody that's thinking of becoming a codes enforcement officer. Don't do it in the town you live in, much less the town you were raised in.
Oh.
Because so often I have to cite people that I know, and that can get a little uncomfortable. But you can also work that to your advantage. You can talk to them a little different because you know them. Come on, man, you need to clean this up. I shouldn't even have to be out here. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it works both ways.
Yeah. So it's reasonable. So you grew up here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Didn't know that. That's new news.
Oh, yeah.
So tell me about that. What year did you graduate?
1970.
At Pleasant Hill?
Pleasant Hill.
Football, basketball? No.
I had rock and roll bands. I wasn't an athlete.
So what did you play? Guitar?
Drums.
You played drums?
Yeah.
Wow. Nice.
Sweet. Did that professionally for 30 years.
Professionally?
Oh, yeah. Played a lot.
Oh, like in clubs and
Yeah.
bars?
Yeah.
For how many years?
About 30 years.
Good for you. You don't play anymore?
No. I got tired of carting all that stuff around.
Oh, yeah.
Tell you what, if I'm reincarnated, I'm coming back as a harmonica player. One little thing right in the pocket. You don't have to carry any equipment. You don't have to do anything. But that's really what stopped me was I just got tired of lugging all that stuff around.
Right. They have the drum box.
Oh.
The box where you sit on it, and you got like it depends on where you hit it.
You mean like electronic stuff?
No. This
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's like the box.
The purpose of a drummer in a rock and roll band is
that'd be more folk, I guess.
Is more than one thing, and one of them is you're part of the show. They want to see movement. They want to see
that's
the symbol.
right.
They want. That's why.
Do you flip the sticks up and catch them?
I have, yeah. And sometimes it was even successful. We were playing in Vegas one time, and we were doing an Elvis show, and I don't remember which song it was, but in the middle of it, I threw a stick up in the air. And we were at the Maxim, if I remember right, and there were all kinds of stage lights up there. I threw the stick up and never came back down. It just stuck up there.
Oh, that is hilarious. That is so fun. So what's the biggest highlight in playing for a rock band that you have? What the biggest memory?
It's funny. But the best part of it for me was not the music. The best part of it for me was I normally came out and did about 10 minutes of stand-up before the band started, just to kind of warm up the crowd a little bit. And I really enjoyed that. I was a drummer, but what I really was an entertainer, because I did a lot of the patter between songs and stuff too, talking to the crowd.
So what would you say? Give us an example.
Oh,
entertain us, Jay.
Pick out somebody in the crowd and make fun of them.
Oh, don't do that with me.
That kind of stuff. Great story was we were playing in Topeka. It was some kind of conference, but we were at the Marriott or the Holiday Inn or wherever it was. Anyway, it was a big room we were playing to. There were probably 200 or 300 people there.
Okay.
But there was a lady that was obviously with child that danced all night long right in front of the band. And I mean, she was really into it. So I made fun of her all night long. If you're not careful, you're going to have that baby right there on the dance floor. And I did that all night long, and everybody got a big kick out of it, including her. But when we got done after the last set, she came up and talked to me and said, thanks, I really enjoyed you making fun of me. There's only one problem. I'm not pregnant.
No.
Nope. She was not pregnant.
Oh, ouch, Jay.
That was
no way.
That was back in the late 70s, early 80s, and I've never asked a woman how far along she was since then.
Oh, Jay.
Well, she thought it was hilarious.
Okay, that's good.
Was
laughed. She drinking?
In fact, what I discovered was her group was laughing because they knew she wasn't pregnant. Everybody else was laughing because they thought she was pregnant.
Oh my God. Oh, I would love to have been there.
So that,
just to watch that. That's
I wish I had a picture of my face when she told me that she wasn't pregnant, because I'm sure it would have been very entertaining.
What's your favorite song to play? Carry On, My Wayward Son.
No, actually.
That's like a very complicated song.
My favorite song is kind of tough because it changes. the song I did that I got tired of was Three Steps by Leonard Skinner, because I did that every night.
Yeah,
over
popular
and
song.
over,
Yep,
and you get
yep.
tired of it. Probably the most fun. I don't know. It's funny in a band, and you're a musician. You know, when you're doing the same material every night, pretty much.
Yeah.
You'll get tired of one song.
Right.
But at the same time, the band will pick up energy on another song.
Yeah.
And it's weird, like that's your favorite song for a while. And then you get sick of doing that, and then there's
And then
another
there's
song.
another one.
that
You know,
like.
that's so true.
So it changes.
Yeah.
It changes all the time.
Well, now that you haven't played those songs over and over, if you know, what's the number one song that comes up that you might enjoy hearing or playing again?
Well, every morning when I get to City Hall, and I go in at 4:30 in the morning, so there's nobody else there.
Yeah.
City Hall is mine. It's like if you remember the first time your folks left you at home alone, and you went like, "Wow,
Yes.
this is my house for a few hours."
Yes.
Well, I feel the same way in City Hall. Anyway, I play "Don't Stop Believin'" by
yep.
Journey, and
Awesome.
then
Good song.
Carrie Layson from Mr. Mister, and then "The Entertainer" by Billy Joel, and then "Not Enough Time" or whatever it's called by Alabama, where he talks about it's always hurry, hurry, and life's no
Yeah.
fun anymore because you have to hurry so
Yeah.
much. Well, each one of those kind of represent, don't stop believing. Have faith. It's another
keep
day.
going. Keep
Have
going.
faith in your day.
Yeah.
Carrie Layson, I don't know if you know that, is actually an old monk's prayer from the 1600s.
No way.
Yeah, it was a prayer for travelers. So that's suitable in the morning, the first thing. Play that. And then Entertainer, because he talks.
That's Billy Joel.
He talks about having to do the show, and I feel a lot the same way when I'm working because I deal with people all the time.
Yeah.
And then the hurry up song. So, now but I promise you, over time, that will change too. I'll get sick of those, and I'll
And then
listen
you'll
to
just
some.
go through some other ones. Okay, so let's talk about the lake.
Okay.
I love reading what you send.
Thank you.
I have to figure out when to publish and
Sure.
but they're really interesting, and you have a lot of stories about people out there, don't you?
Sure.
Can you tell us a little bit now? Let's tell the audience, if they don't know, what your role is at the lake.
Okay, I'm caretaker,
Caretaker.
which is it's just me. I'm pretty much everything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't have. The city has a crew to mow and things like that, but I book all the camping.
Okay.
I do all that kind of thing.
Do you work at the city, or do you have like a cell phone especially for that? How does that work?
I have a cell phone for the city lake.
Okay.
Yeah. So I do a lot of work out there. The first year, when I took it over, it had been neglected for several years, and it was full of the homeless and drunks and drug addicts. And I had to walk in there with an attitude of there's a new sheriff in town, and I'm going to clean this place up. I did 36 evictions my first year at City Lake because people stayed there for free for years. I had
Like in a tent?
tents, yeah. I had legitimate campers go, I've been camping here for years, didn't even know there was a caretaker.
How big is the lake?
It's a little over 100 acres is
Okay.
actually water.
Okay.
And then
That's a lot.
Quite a bit of property surrounds it.
What can you put in it? I know you can put a rowboat.
You can put anything you want to in it. The only rule is you can't make a wake.
Oh,
So you can put a really
Can you
big,
swim?
powerful boat if you want to.
you
But,
can't swim very.
well,
you know,
the rules
fast.
The rules state no swimming.
Oh, you can't swim in the lake.
You're not supposed to. But quite frankly, I was raised swimming in that lake, so I'm not too much of a stickler on that.
We
kind
won't
of
let
thing.
anybody know.
Yeah. The first time I went there was my 6th birthday, 1958. My great-grandfather, who was here in town, took me fishing, and that was the first time I went to the lake, and I fell in love with it. So when I retired from the police department,
Okay, you were a policeman in Pleasant Hill?
no, I was a dispatcher.
In Pleasant Hill.
Yeah, for 11 years after I left.
You were like everything.
Yeah.
Were you mayor? Or are you going to be mayor, maybe?
You never know. I ran for city council once, lost by 20 votes.
Oh, that's not bad.
When I left, I was raised here. I moved to Kansas City. I joined the Navy right after
And the Navy.
high school.
What haven't you done?
I'll tell you what, I'd have to think a little bit.
Yeah.
A lot of things that are on people's bucket list, I've already done. I've got over 1,000 skydives. I ride a skateboard at the age of 69.
You're 69?
Yeah, I'll be 70 in October.
Wow.
I know, it's disgusting.
You keep well.
Well, I hate getting old, but it beats the alternative anyway.
Well, yeah, it does.
Anyway.
Well, let's talk about your experiences at the lake, though. I
Okay,
mean,
yeah.
Tell us some stories, because it usually, send me an email stories. So
the lake means different things to different people. So I run into a lot of different people out there. A lot of people just go out there and sit. And a story, one day I pulled up, there's two pavilions, and the lower one's by the playground. I was just driving through, and there's a guy sitting at one of the picnic tables. He's probably in his 40s, maybe early 50s, and he's bawling his eyes out, and he's sitting there all by himself. So I stopped to check on him, and it turned out he'd been looking for his son for almost 30 years, and he had just located him on the phone. Just then, he just hung up. He'd found his son, and he was going to go see him. It was a very moving thing to see.
wow.
So I run into things like that more frequently than you might think.
So if that lake could talk.
Oh man, God only knows. That lake originally was just a little pond, and the farmer, his name was Brown, because we have Brown's Arms named after him. He always said that he thought that pond, because it was spring fed, could provide water for Pleasant Hill. Wow. Well, at the time, we were getting water from Baldwin Lake, believe it or not, which of course doesn't really even exist anymore. And the state health department came in and tested it and said, "No, you can't drink it. Can't use that." So they decided to use City Lake, and for years and years, City Lake was our source of water. Brown, the farmer, deeded all that property to the city when he died. During the Second World War.
What year was that? Do you remember?
That he died?
Yeah, that he donated it.
I don't know that for sure. I do know that when they decided to use it as a water source, they had to build a dam because it was very small. And that was right in the middle of the Second World War, like 1942, 1943.
That's quite a while back then.
I don't know where they got the manpower to do it.
Quite a while back.
But so that provided our water. And it was not optimal. Every fall, your water would turn brown with the leaves and that kind of stuff. And finally, the health department came back years later and said, you can't use the City Lake anymore. So now we get water from the city like everybody else. You were talking about that. I said it as a dam. The dam needs repairs.
Okay.
And sooner or later, they're going to do it. Okay. You were talking about if the lake could talk. Well, sooner or later, we're going to have to drain a lot of that lake. Not completely, but a lot of it. And I think all kinds of secrets are going to come up when they drain it.
You're going to let me know, right?
Oh,
when that happens. Oh, I want to be there.
Everything
definitely.
from car parts to thigh bones. You never know what they might find in there.
They pulled a car out of that lake.
Oh, yeah.
Recently, wasn't it? Like
It was not too long ago.
What was that all about?
Well,
insurance? Or we were all trying to guess.
It was very strange because it was very near the dock that people fish off of. Why? Evidently, if people got snagged on it, they didn't realize it was a car down there. But 3 years ago, somebody stole our picnic table off that dock. It was big and really heavy, and we presumed a bunch of kids just went out there and threw it in the water.
Yeah.
So 3 years ago, I had a scuba diver in there looking for the table, which he never found, but I don't think the car was there then because he would have found it. So the car was something fairly recent. It had to have been.
Okay, so when was that? When the scuba diving? What year was that?
About 3 years ago.
So this is really recent.
19, something like that.
So do you think that they were just getting accidentally went in the lake because they were drunk, or they getting rid of it because they it was going to be foreclosed
on? If I remember right,
or repossessed, or what do you?
Yeah, if I remember right, there were issues with the vehicle. But there was something hinky that nobody ever found out about, and then I don't know about. There was more to that story than we know. I've had, I think it was last year, a fellow was 14 years old and went out fishing with his dad, and he was learning how to drive. So the dad hooked up the boat to the truck to pull it back out, and he said, "Why don't you pull it out, kid, put it in reverse," and submerged everything, the boat, the trailer, and the truck. It all had to be pulled back out.
Dang, that's hilarious. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, Must have been a really long day for that kid.
Yeah, just a little bit. What a memory, though.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, 30 years from now, you'll say, you know what? When I was with my dad.
No, 30 years from now, he's going to go, can't you people leave that alone? It's been 30 years.
All right. And you have a dog.
Yep, Sophie Dammit. She's kind of the queen of the city lake. She's out there with me all the time. She's a good ambassador.
Yeah.
She's good around people. Yeah.
So what does she do for you? Just hang out? Or she go find things in the park?
No, not normally.
Check
no.
for drugs?
She, when we first get there, say if I'm stopped to talk to some people, she'll check them out for a minute.
Yeah.
But then she kind of patrols the park and looks around.
I mean, she has her job.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, definitely. And she knows it, too. She's a show-off. I mean, she likes to do that. It's like I ride a motorcycle with a sidecar.
Sophie, damn it, really.
And Sophie rides in the sidecar, and she absolutely loves that. That's a lot of fun.
That just hit my brain, by the way.
Yeah, Sophie, damn it. Well, I've had 3 healers. I named them all Sophie. I just gave them different middle names.
Okay.
So Sophie number 1 didn't last long. She died at like 9 months in an accident. Sophie number 2 lived to be 16, and she was like a gift of God. She was incredible. And Sophie number 3, the one I have now, I'd had her for a while, and I was talking to my neighbor about, I need to give her own middle name. And he said, well, why don't you call her Sophie Dammit? You yell at her all the time anyway. So I said, okay, stuck.
That's her name. Poor dog. How old is she?
She'll be 9 Valentine's Day.
Born on Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
All right.
I was thinking of getting another one, and I saw a thing on Facebook where this guy had 3 dogs, 3 healer puppies, almost to the Colorado border. And I thought, I want that one right in the middle. There were probably 1,500 healer puppies between me and him, but I drove by all of them to get this one.
And that's the one you wanted.
Took a couple pairs of used underwear with me, and when we got there, I took a Coke container or a carton, put her between the seats with the underwear and put her on top of it, and by the time we got home, she was bonded. That was it.
Aww.
And it's just she and I live by myself.
Okay.
So yeah, we're pretty close.
I'm not asking about the underwear.
Nah.
I'm not sure what that was
Maybe
about.
I shouldn't have brought that up.
We'll just figure that out.
But, I mean, that's how they originally get imprinted, is by odor. Is
I
by
understand.
Your scent. So actually, it makes sense. Can't get her to do the laundry, though. You know,
you could have
she'll
just
lay
brought
right
your
on top of dirty underwear. She won't do anything about it.
So, tell me a little bit about growing up in Pleasant Hill. What do you remember the most?
Well, the standard cliches. Nobody
Yeah.
locked their doors. It was very easy to get in trouble because everybody knew you. It was like you couldn't get away with anything. I had a unique existence because my dad was the only doctor in town. Dr. Eklund was my father.
Dr. what?
Eklund, after the field is
That's
named
your
after.
dad?
Yeah, it's my stepfather. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, I see him in the paper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
So I had a little bit of an unusual existence after he married my mom because I was the son of the only doctor in town.
Yeah.
I knew everybody, of course.
Yeah. Well, he knew everything.
Well, it's funny about him. He couldn't remember your name, but he could remember that broken arm you had 20 years ago. He could remember everything about you
Wow.
physically.
Physically, he just
remember.
doesn't. I don't know your name.
I don't know who this person is, but I know they had their appendix out. So
I always know. I have trouble with names, but I always know a face, and I know that I know him. You know.
Oh, I'm terrible.
And I know their personality. You know, so I know exactly whether to just go into a laugh or be serious.
I'm horrible.
But names are really difficult for me. I don't know why. I hate that.
But I've got different nicknames, so I can kind of tell if I don't recognize somebody, what they call me. I can tell where they knew me from. Because when I grew up, my name's J. Robert Walters.
Okay.
But my mom called me Robin. I'm a junior.
Okay.
She said she named me that after my dad, my real father, but that she wanted to call me Robin. So everybody knew me as a kid, knew me as Robin. But then as soon as, say, my official existence started, I got out of high school, I was Jay.
Your official existence.
My true first name was Jay.
Yeah.
And, of course, there's a few names that I don't want to repeat that I get called to.
Yeah, it's just like the underwear. We don't want to talk
That's
about
right,
things like
yeah.
that. But, so, City Lake,
Yeah,
codes.
yeah,
You grew up in Pleasant Hill.
correct.
Okay. Who do you remember who do you remember being around town that is still around? Whether it's stores or somebody that's really prominent in the community.
I'd get up, and my best friend Dennis would come over, and we'd leave the house at 8 o'clock, and we wouldn't come home. Dennis, a friend of mine, wouldn't come back until time for dinner. We'd be gone all day long.
Okay.
We'd go all over town, and our parents didn't have to worry about us. It was perfectly safe to do that.
Is he still around?
He lives out in California somewhere.
Oh, okay.
But
Okay.
we're not close. But
anybody here that you're still close to?
Oh, sure.
Like
Gilmanda. I'm trying to think of people that I actually would. There's a group of us from 70 that I keep in contact. In fact, we just had our reunion not very long ago.
Well, 1970 was also the year the Chiefs won the Super Bowl. Do you remember that?
That's right. It's also the first year we landed on the moon.
That's right.
And there were 70 people in our class of 1970.
Seriously?
I was vice president.
You were vice president of the class, so there you go. You are a leader of the community.
I think so, somewhat. I'm president of my homes association.
Well, I see that, the Sugarland.
Sugarland,
yeah. I see your posts. You're very communicative. I did not realize that that's what your role was. So that explains a lot.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, man, he really cares. You know, he's just posting on there.
I made the mistake of going to a general membership meeting.
Yeah.
And saying, what can I do to help?
Yeah.
And I think that was 13 or 14 years ago when I've been president ever since.
Do you know, I think that the general heart of this town, that's their main question.
Is?
How can I help?
Oh, yeah.
I'm just, I haven't seen that in any other town. You know what I mean? But here, it's like, how can I help?
Pleasant Hill's very unusual in that way.
Yeah.
For instance, we had a house fire out in Sugarland, and people jump to that. Okay, we got clothes for your kids. Bring them food, everything.
Yeah.
I had volunteers to help them get there before the fire department got there. People that lived in the area and saw the smoke and immediately just responded to it. What can we do to help?
Yeah.
And it's that way all around town.
Yeah.
This town of ours is very unusual in that way. We're always willing to help. Not only willing, we want to.
Right.
We have an appreciation for helping people. I think it's a little bit selfish in a way because it makes you feel good, and there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
But we are very unusual that
I'd
way.
rather you be that way than the other way, be selfish.
True.
You know?
True.
I want your money.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right.
I'd much rather be compassionate.
For sure.
Yeah. That's a good feeling to have.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Back when I was a kid, though, Saturday morning, this town would be packed. I mean, there would be no place to park, but you had so many businesses down here then, from Ostermeyer's Meat Market to the drugstores, Bob Shortridge and Rexall drugstores. And
do you remember the popcorn?
Oh, Carl? Oh, sure. Oh, yeah. Remember him very well, yeah.
Is he still around or
no,
family or anything?
His family, Ponders.
Oh, Ponders. Okay.
Ponders,
all
yeah,
right.
is his family.
That's the popcorn guy. Okay.
Yes. Carl Ponder, yeah.
We're always looking for pictures. So if you're watching this and you want a podcast and bring some pictures, we would love, click. So we're just looking at the history of the town. I think even people that are not from here, that have moved here, they're plants, they want to know where they're from. What they're going to be from, or where their kids are going to be from. I mean, my kids are now from here.
I hear you.
Does that make sense? They are now from here. We have started the journey, and we want to know the history. We want to know the character and everything about it.
It's a two-edged sword because there's an awful lot of people that live here that just want to sleep here.
Yeah, there is.
Then they go to work.
There is.
For instance, I mentioned I'm president of the Homes Association in Sugarland.
Yeah.
When we have general membership meetings, it's the same 12 or 15 people every time. Between kids and sports and making a living, they just don't have time for that like we used to. And that's another unique part of this town is we're in transition.
What's changed, Jay? Because they had sports when you were growing up.
Yeah.
So what has changed? I mean, in the busyness, double income maybe?
Well,
or
one thing
I don't
is
know.
a lot of people were moving here that weren't raised here. So they don't have an appreciation for the way that. I mean, when I was a kid, there were 2,600 people in this town. Now there's over 10,000. So we've grown a lot.
Yeah, but the busy, like for a family, you're saying they're too busy to get involved. But back in your day, in the 1970 or 70s, you had school, you had sports. So I don't understand where's the busyness coming from? Are they overworked? Is it a different climate way?
For one thing, most households today now both parents work.
Right.
Back then,
they didn't.
Mom stayed at home. I mean, sure, a lot of them did. Of course, my mom did. But
so so now you have both parents working.
Correct.
And then they come home. They're trying to do the sports, and okay. So I can see that. Well, and in our culture, we also do you notice we eat out more than we used to? I mean, when I was growing up, we didn't eat out. If we were eating out, we're like, ooh, put our good clothes on and eat out, right? Or even McDonald's was a big deal, right? But now everything's changed, and I met this lady the other day. She actually orders dinners already made and brought to her house every day. I'm like, how do you make that happen? So
well, people have changed. It's easy to go out and get something to eat versus fixing it at home.
Right.
Take myself for an example, and I don't eat out much.
Right.
But it's just me. It's cheap. It's just as cheap to eat out pretty much as it is to eat at home when it's just one of you, and you don't have a mess.
Yeah.
You don't have any.
Well, but okay, so maybe. I'm thinking priorities are also a part of that.
I think that's what I'm speaking to is fixing food at home is just not as important.
In going to meetings, it's in being involved in like the civic part.
Well,
of the city.
A lot of people just don't want to.
Maybe that's just not a priority.
They want their lives to be run properly, and they don't want to get involved with that at all. They don't.
What do you think the world would look like if more people got involved in Pleasant Hill civically, and owners organizations, VFW, Optimist Club?
I think.
What do you think would happen?
Well, for one thing, there would be this general feeling of wanting to do more. These people that right now don't want to do anything, that they would be driven by that more. If their neighbors are all doing that, then they're going to want to do that. They're going to want to help, that kind of thing. So I think it would be, although Pleasant Hill's really good about that.
Right.
Pleasant Hill's really not a good town to describe that because it doesn't exist as much here as it does in so many other places.
Right. Well, you were talking about the bedroom town part. The people, just sleeping here, go to work, sleep here, go to work.
It worries me too because Pleasant Hill's personality is going to change. We're going to have less and less people that really have any interest in this. They go to the city to work, they come home, they got kids to deal with, and just the general mental state of most people these days is they don't want to get involved. They just want their lives to run smoothly. They don't want any bumps or anything like that.
Well, hopefully if you're listening to this and you're from Pleasant Hill and you're not of the camp that is involved already, you might kind of say, how can I be at least 1% better next year?
Oh, for sure.
You know what I mean? I think that that's what it's going to take for us to keep our small town culture is to be kind of, you get into the culture of Pleasant Hill and become Pleasant Hill, right?
Yes.
I remember when I first moved here, it was 26 years ago, and we accidentally made the fortunate move to move downtown. So Sugarland was on the rise, Hunter's Ridge was on the rise, but we chose a house downtown right on Jeffrey Street. And we got to meet all the people from Pleasant Hill, so to speak. And that was amazing.
You live on Jeffrey Street?
Not now.
If I had any code violations over
there,
No,
I don't live there now, Jay. I don't live there now. It's been a long time. We're out in the country now. We lived there for 3 years, and we outgrew it as a family.
I see.
Because it was only 1,800 square feet for us. That wasn't, and one bathroom just didn't
I always tell people,
for a family of 6.
Having dispatched for the police department, now doing codes, it's a good thing if I haven't heard of your name.
I'm not going to tell you where I live, but I'm not in the city, so maybe that doesn't
you don't
make
have to worry about it.
I don't have to worry about it. Oh my gosh. Don't tell Jay where you live. He's going to come and test your house.
That's right.
Okay, so, but that's one thing I had on my mind, even as I'm talking to other Pleasant Hill people, and we're reminiscing on the history of Pleasant Hill and the culture of Pleasant Hill, and we don't want it to go away. It doesn't have to go away, Jay. It doesn't have to go away. And I'm wondering, I was talking to Shelby and I was talking to John. It's like, there's got to be a way that in our planning, in our culture, in creating our culture downtown or in Pleasant Hill, that we can communicate to people that are coming in what it would be like for them if they did fold in. This is a cool town.
Yeah,
it's worth
definitely
getting involved.
I think we have to expect some shift, because when you pull away all the layers of the onion, what you're talking about is human behavior. People just aren't as civically involved as they used to be. Mm-hmm. They're not, and the people that are already here are. But as new people come into town, they're coming from environments where they weren't at all civically, and where they didn't even know the names of their neighbors and things like that.
But wasn't it like that for somebody at one time?
Yeah. Oh, yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Everybody came here.
Yeah, but see, you're getting such a larger influx. When I was a kid and there were 2,600 people in town, anybody moved here that was new, everybody knew about it. Hey, did you hear that? They filled that house down on Armstrong.
That makes sense. Makes sense. So now you got these sub-communities.
You have people that have lived in environments where, like I said, they don't even know their neighbors' names. Mm. So you come down here, it's an acquired. They just haven't learned how to do that. I've heard lots of stories of people who move here, and they're actually uncomfortable with the friendliness of their neighbors at first because they're so not used to it. Hey, if you need any help with that, and they're thinking like, what does he really want? Is he going to rob me? Or because that's the environment they came from.
I remember when I first moved here, and they don't live here anymore, so I can say. When I first moved here, I'd mow my lawn, right? And it took me about 45 minutes an hour, and I loved talking. When I was out there, I'd talk to neighbors.
Sure.
And so it usually take me about 2 or 3 hours to mow the lawn because the neighbors. I only had an hour of daylight left, and I was mowing, and the neighbor came out and just stood there waiting for me to stop, and I just kept going. I'm like, no, I'm not stopping.
Yeah.
I have to get my lawn won't be mowed, and the code person's gonna come and tell me that my lawn's not mowed. So, but he just stood there and just waited, and and I'm like, dude.
We're the original Pleasant Hillians, the ones who've been around here a long time, that's the way they are. They're gonna say hi to you, and they'll wait till hell freezes over.
He did. He waited the whole time, and then I talked to him. Okay, sorry, I had to mow my lawn.
One of the things changes, and this is a small one, but it sticks out to me is, of course, when I was a kid, we cruised Pleasant Hill. Mm-hmm. That's what we did.
We had cruised the Fay, and
there wasn't anything else to do on Friday night. We would go up to. Up there by 5 Star, there used to be Charlie's Dairy Cup, which really was about the only place to eat out at the time.
Oh.
You'd go around there, and then you'd come downtown, and you'd come down to the corner here, and you'd turn around and you'd go back. And that's what you do over and over and over. Sometimes, if you're really adventuresome, you'd go all the way up 7 Highway to Dan Hammond's gas station and turn around. My point was, back then, when you're in vehicles, everybody waved at everybody else.
Yeah. I love that about this town.
And that's dying because there's so many people you don't know anymore.
Oh. Don't you wave anyway, though?
Yeah, I do. And I've had, it was a couple of weeks ago, I waved at somebody, and we both pulled into Price Chopper, and the guy walked up to me, and he says, "What the hell do you want?" I said, "I don't want anything. I was just waving." "Well, yeah, but what do you want?" I said, "I was just waving." "What do you mean just waving? People don't wave at each other in vehicles." And I said, they do around here.
Oh, well.
Really, they did. Of course,
he really stopped. That's a true story.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
No kidding.
Oh, sure, yeah. And I talked to him, and he got Yeah, it's pretty cool, actually. But again, he's from an environment
where you don't do that.
Where if people wave at you, they're up to something.
Yeah, but we do that.
Yes.
We do that. Sorry, we do that.
And I hope that doesn't die. I really do. I mean, I see it fading, but there's another part of that, though. People aren't as recognizable as they used to be when they're in their vehicles. No. You can't see faces like you used to be able to see. Of course, back then we knew the cars. Yeah. If it was a 59 Ford Galaxy, it was so-and-so. If it was so-and-so. In fact, we knew them so well, we could tell at night by the headlights who it was.
I know Monkey Press, or Press Monkey.
Yeah.
Because of their van.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Oh, and Tina Tina at the chamber. She drives a big yellow Hummer.
Yeah.
So when she's driving around, that's right. That's Tina.
It's funny because in the 60s, of course, the big deal was knowing the cops were there. Not that you were doing anything illegal, but you just know the cops were there. Vehicles back then did not have parking lights.
Really?
Did not exist. So eventually the automakers started putting them on. Well, the police always had the new cars.
Yeah.
So we could tell it was cops because they had parking lights. And that actually lasted several years.
Wow.
What we do is, because I told you how everybody cruised all the time. Yeah. Well, my dad's doctor's office is up there where that dentist office is now on Cedar Street.
Okay.
So instead of driving around, we just take lawn chairs and sit in the parking lot and drink beer and let everybody drive around us. We didn't even drive around that much because everybody was, we were right there.
We kind of have it back at the Christmas thing.
Yeah.
With the UTV vehicles.
Yes. But back then it was just, in fact, I'm surprised they don't do it more all the time with UTV, except cruising's just.
We could have it quarterly or something.
Yeah.
Have it Christmas. Well, I don't know how you do it. Christmas and I know 4th of July you could have it, but will be with you in a minute.
The Fridays and Saturdays though were that's what you did. You got in your car and you cruised. You drove around.
Right, exactly.
And whatever.
But
not that we ever drank any beer when we were doing that, of course.
No, we're not going to go to that either. So yeah.
We'll leave that with
underwear,
the underwear.
No beer, no. Yeah. It was so good to have you.
Sure.
Man, I hope you come back.
All I need is an invite.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Bye.
See ya.